It
doesn't make sense.
No.
Makes total sense.
It means writing. Look at my poster in the background.
Yeah, it reads left to right.
It's perfect. It does.
Yeah, it does.
What,
It does.
on your end, you can.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, really? On my end, it looks that little thing in the background.
Screw your end.
Talk, Wes. Talk.
Is that the right way around?
Oh, that is the right way around. Yeah.
That's the reason they've done it, I guess.
On your own screen, it looks reversed, right, Wes?
That's right. Yeah.
So point to your left eye, Mike. This will blow your mind. That's my left eye. Yeah.
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 Oh, that's there. I'm gonna cover that.
I like how you shut it there as well.
I'm just gonna cover it.
It's like when I told you that you weren't meant to hear your own voice. And I think your brain came out of your ear.
It did.
When I told you that.
It did. Anyway,
Right. Okay.
Let's do this.
Live, by the way.
Okay.
So do we want to start our recordings now as well for the mics and shit?
Yeah. Do it.
So in 3, 2, 1, record. So in movies this week, we're going to talk about X-Men: Days of Future Past. So X-Men: Days of Future Past is the unification of the old X-Men and the new X-Men. In Future Past, the X-Men send Wolverine back to the past in a desperate effort to change history and prevent an event that results in doom for both humans and mutants. So it stars Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, and Jennifer Lawrence, among a whole host of other people. It's written by Jane Goldman, Matthew Vaughn, and Simon Kinberg, and it's directed by returning star Bryan Singer. So before we get into it, let's take a look at the trailer. So, X-Men: Days of Future Past. I think we were all pretty excited for this one. Alexander, what did you think of Future Past, and what is your, what's your feelings on the other X-Men films as well?
I really enjoyed X-Men First Class. Thought it was fresh. You know, I like the acts they chose. You know, Fassbender and James McAvoy. Yeah, had a blank. I wasn't so keen on the original trilogy for some reason, and that's probably because it was more about their powers and just seeing them, you know, do their shit rather than the drama aspect, which I think these two later films have really got down quite well. This latest one, I really enjoyed it. I was surprised, actually. I thought the thing it did particularly well is blended the future and the past quite seamlessly, you know, because I think so often when you got the future and the past, it can be a kind of cheese fest if it's not handled right, because, you know, in itself it's quite a wild concept, but I think they handled it really well, and it, you know, that kind of concept brings a whole host of logical problem, you know, paradoxes and stuff, but I still, you know, nothing was glaringly bothered me. It all kind of made sense in the logic of the universe. I think across the board, I thought the script was good. I thought the acting across the board was good. It was nice to see Peter Dinklage as the Doctor. I thought, you know, you can't really get enough of that guy. What's not to like about him? And, you know, Fassbender, I can't get enough of the guy. Yeah. You know, he's the man. He can do no wrong at the moment. Good
to see Ellen Page back as well.
Ellen Page, yeah. Have we seen her in another?
Yes, she was in definitely the first two and maybe the third X-Men movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
See,
she was very young. When they first came out, but yeah, she was definitely in it.
Yeah, I probably wasn't. I didn't know her well enough at the time, but yeah, I thought the visual effects were really well done. You know, that they felt expensive. They didn't scream out, you know, rush job like so many blockbusters. Um, I don't know. I didn't really. I really like the way they did the '70s stuff. You know, just the costume and the look of it, and the just that. I think anything set in that era generally is cool. You know, visually. And you know they spared no expense. And I think it was the right move to bring Bryan Singer in to do this because you know he knows the original vibe, the original trilogy pretty well, um, and it's quite a hard thing to do. I guess my only problem is the fact that I just don't buy James McAvoy and Patrick Stewart being the same character. I just you know nothing they could do could make me believe that. I just think they look wildly different.
Is it just the looks, or does it go beyond the looks?
I think it's more than the look. I think like because Patrick Stewart's persona is quite you know classy and controlled, and I just have trouble believing that he you know in his younger days he was this kind of you know had a wild youth, so to speak. I don't feel that, but it's such a small, you know, nitpick for a film that I think is probably one of my favorite superhero, you know, Marvel films to date. I think it's
The interesting thing about that sense to me is that it's the one that Marvel have had least to do with. Probably.
yeah, totally.
At least Marvel Studios, anyway.
Yeah, but it just it feels more unconventional as a Marvel film. You know, it feels like they took a few risks a little bit as far as you know a Marvel film can. But yeah, for me, it's a thumbs up all the way.
I'm very shocked that you loved it so much, actually.
Was
Yeah,
that?
Well,
I'm kind of surprised as well.
I'm gonna agree with Alex and probably say that I enjoyed it more. I really loved it, and I wasn't expecting that before I went in. And although I'm watching it and sort of logically thinking that's a plot hole, that wouldn't make any sense, I didn't really care. And I think it's probably because of the strength of the performances. And I think the characters are really well fleshed out. Not just the sort of the younger characters that we've seen in First Class, but I think I would disagree with Alex on James McAvoy and Patrick Stewart. I think they work together quite well, but particularly the big one for me was Michael Fassbender and Ian McKellen. I think they really do sort of meet in the middle really nicely. And the character itself, I loved, and it feels like a real person. It doesn't feel like someone's feeding these characters cheesy lines, like which is one of my big problems with Spider-Man. And they don't rush anything. They do sort of get the time with everything. I think one of the characters that does get a short shrift is Quicksilver, and there's maybe one or two many fan Easter eggs in there for me, just sort of hinting at things and little throwaway lines that is more just fan service than anything else. But I think on the whole, it's my favorite, one of my most favorite sort of hero films I've seen in probably a year or two, maybe since the Avengers, maybe. I think it's a really strong effort, and if it's because of Bryan Singer, that's great, and I can't wait to see the next movie. I think Peter Dinklage did a good job, but I don't think it's not the kind of role where I only imagine him doing it like Tyrion is. I could imagine other actors doing that part, and it wouldn't really particularly bother us. But I think the strongest one there for me is Michael Fassbender, who's I would cast him as anything. I would cast Michael Fassbender as Mary Poppins, and I would have no issue with that at all. Make it so. So yeah, big thumbs up for me. I think check it out, and I don't think you need to have seen the original films or maybe even First Class to enjoy this. I think it's just a great film all around.
Well, double shocked there. I enjoyed it. I definitely did enjoy it. It's not a bad film by any means. It's maybe not I don't think I loved it as much as you guys. I was pleasantly surprised with X-Men First Class. I thought First Class was brilliant, a really great reboot, made me interested in X-Men again. The original sort of trilogy and the Wolverine spin-offs, sure they've been okay, but I sort of lost my way when it came to sort of X-Men 3 and then the recent Wolverine films. I don't think have been all that. Um, something about this one just felt a bit less than First Class. I think it was the fact that um, they were constantly having to juggle the past and the future as well, and probably doing all the fan service with sort of keeping Storm involved and um, just having all the modern X-Men as well as the ones from the past. I think it was a difficult balance for them to do. I think they did a good job, but I just don't think it necessarily needed it. And the constant sort of going back and forwards. I wish that they just continued it in the 70s and just had all of that backstory without the whole MacGuffin of sending Wolverine back. And I wish they just kept it in one era because I'm not sure what the future added other than a little twist and possibly a bit of threat with the Sentinels and obviously Mystique having to do something, or the rest of the X-Men having to do something to try and prevent the Sentinels. I think it is very, very good, but maybe not as I don't have the love that you guys did. One thing I did love though is the 3D in this. The 3D in this is unbelievable. There's that scene in the bank vault where is it the bank vault or the FBI headquarters where Quicksilver runs across the wall and slows down time and he's sort of dodging bullets and making bullets move and they're hitting bits of water. That in 3D, unbelievable. Looks so good. And even from start to finish, it is just a film that is just putting effects in 3D for the sake of it, and I love that for 3D. So I really recommend if you are going to go and see it, try and get a 3D showing because it really does look great in 3D. For me, not as good as First Class, but certainly a really good superhero movie.
Awesome. Yeah, I guess I'm kind of in the middle a bit, really. I really dug it. Straight off the bat. I mean, I don't have any major complaints. It's all nitpicks, really. I wasn't a fan of the casting of Peter Dinklage. I mean, I love the guy in Game of Thrones and other things I've seen him in. Here, he seemed a little bit miscast, and I don't think the costuming helped, even though it looked period. I don't know, it just didn't look right on him. And then I had a bit of an issue with the ending, specifically around things that happen with Wolverine and his consciousness, and I won't say more than that. But other than that, it was a really good superhero film, and the problem for me is it just didn't reach the heights of other films in the Marvel franchises that I've seen of late. I mean, I don't think personally that this is as good as Winter Soldier. And it's certainly not as good as Avengers for me, but that's not to take anything away from what is a very good film. I personally really enjoyed the future stuff, and I think if you took that stuff out, that it wouldn't be as fun, because for me, all of the future action sequences, I can't get my words out tonight, all of the future action sequences, I still can't get my words out, action sequences were awesome, especially with the two characters who could create portals and were jumping around and trapping enemies and sending enemies in the wrong direction. All that stuff was cool. Very reminiscent of the opening scene in X-Men 2, where you've got a character, and the character's name is completely gone off the top of my head, popping in and out of existence in various places, confusing the enemy. And I think X2 still remains my favourite X-Men film, but this one runs it very close. And as you guys said, Michael Fassbender, for me, the highlight, absolutely would cast him in anything. as Adam said. And apart from some of the younger X-Men who I'm not quite sure about the casting, especially Beast, I think him and the guy that plays Iceman or whatever the character's name is, I'm crap with my X-Men characters, just don't really work for me, and they didn't work for me in First Class either. But no, thoroughly enjoyed this, and I'd probably recommend anyone go and see it, and especially at the cinema, just for the effects, spectacle of it, really. So definitely check it out. And we look like we've lost Adam. So anyone want to add anything else on X-Men Days of Future Past?
Did you see it in 2D or 3D? I'm guessing you guys 2D'd it.
Yeah, 2D purist.
Same here, but I kind of
Same.
wish I'd seen that Quicksilver scene in 3D.
Yeah, it is really, really good. It's probably one of the best 3D effects films I've seen in a long, long time.
Yeah.
Much better than sort of Winter Soldier and the like recently. So it used it as a gimmick, but also to add depth to the action, which I think is really cool.
Do you guys wish we'd had a bit more Quicksilver?
Yeah, he was cool.
He was really good. Like, I don't know, not just the humour, but visually, it's kind of the most interesting stuff.
Don't you think, though, once he got his full gear on, that he looked a bit of a cock?
A smidgen, maybe.
No, I'm good with him.
I wasn't
with
the grey hair and goggles and then the silver leather jacket look.
Well, I reckon you could pull it off in a cosplay, Wes. Just get some goggles and the jacket, and you're there.
That's it. Don't need to do much about this. Already got the silver fox effect going on. All right, so there are our thoughts on X-Men Days of Future Past. Rush out and see that now in 2D or 3D. You can take your pick. You'll have a good time with either. So that's some movies for this week. And end our recordings.